Hi guys, this is Mrs. Huyck. I hope this video finds you well. We've had our first assignment and I was so pleased. People did a wonderful job uploading their papers. I was able to give feedback, hopefully constructive feedback on some problems that were done incorrectly. The most important thing is I'm going to post the key to the problems that were already assigned, and I'd like you to make sure you go through that key. Mark up your work. I don't want to see the marked up work. Marking up the work is for you. Your goal at the end of this should be to have a list of topics where you know you need some additional help so that when we come back to Regents Review later on, you'll have an idea of where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. Now, as I looked through papers, there were some very clear weaknesses. There were a couple of problems that people found very challenging, and I want to talk about those right now. Specifically, the ones that I saw people making mistakes on repeatedly were number 2, which involved factor by grouping, and I apologize, in my feedback I did say you'd have to group using trinomials, but it is breaking into pairs of binomials and doing a greatest common factor within those. So we'll go through that problem. The second problem I want to go over is factoring sum and difference of cubes. There were some small mistakes. Some people made some bigger mistakes. The third problem was focus and directrix, and this is one that I did expect people to do poorly on. The reason for that is we don't build on it at all. Finally, I think the final problem that I'd like to go over as a group, one that I saw done incorrectly from a number of people, was number 13. So let me grab a separate sheet of paper. Here was my list of problems that I wanted to make sure that we go over together. Again, if you feel good about these problems, feel free to skip ahead. I'll try to be clear on what number I am on so you can pause the video when you need it. And the answer key to problems 1 through 22 is already posted. So you can look at that if you feel good about everything. So without further ado, this is Regents Review number 2. Oh God, that was awful. I apologize for that. All right, original problem. K4 minus 4k squared plus 8k cubed minus 32k plus 12k squared minus 48. This problem goes on and on and on and on and on. I even ran out of space for it. Whenever the Regents exam has given a problem like this, the order that they put the terms in naturally fell into the order you could end up doing the problem. So if you break this into pairs, notice there's not this descending. It's not, this polynomial is not in standard form. So that kind of tells you, hey, maybe I have to break this up a little differently. So we do the greatest common factor of the first pair. K squared leaves us with k squared minus 4. We do the same thing on the second pair, 8k, and shockingly, k squared minus 4. As soon as we see that common binomial happening, we know we're heading in the right direction. Factor out the 12, k squared minus 4. Once we have that common binomial, that's our greatest common factor, k squared minus 4 gets factored out. The pieces of the trinomial become the other factor, k squared plus 8k plus 12. Factorable trinomial, factorable binomial. K squared, k plus 2, and the trinomial is k plus 6, k plus 2. Some people chose to summarize this as k plus 2 quantity squared. Of course, that's correct as well. So that's question number 2. Question number 3 is also a factoring question. Question number 3 is sum and difference of cubes. X cubed plus 27y cubed. Now remember, we did x. What was that thing that was cubed? What was that thing that was cubed? It would be 3y quantity cubed. That cubed out here will cube the 3 as well as the y. And then there was this adorable formula, a plus b times a squared, and we do opposites here. So we do the opposite sign, ab plus b squared. And again, Regents, this doesn't come up often. This is just something that you need to have memorized. This is a structure you need to recognize as well. So when we use this as our A and this is our B, we end up with x plus 3y. I square the A, so let me put that in, x squared minus, I'll put in for A, x, I'll put in for B, 3y. That's just heading, I meant this part of the problem. Plus, now in for B, this is where I saw some mistakes. In for B goes that entire quantity 3y. And the entire quantity 3y is being squared. So what ends up happening is you don't just square the y, you also have to square the 3. That was the common mistake I tended to see when people started from the correct formula. So we end up with x squared minus 3xy plus, here's that critical number, that right there, 9y squared. Remember, when we factor using sum and difference of cubes, the trinomial is not going to be factorable. So that is where we stop. So there's number 3. Number 5. Number 5 is focus and directrix. So with focus and directrix, we have this formula that we memorized once upon a time. All right, what are the parts and pieces of this formula? H and K, that is going to be my vertex. Well, first, I guess we should talk about our objects. We have a focus at 4, 1, and our directrix is y equals -3. Again, I'm going to remind everyone, if you've done this problem correctly, if you look this up in your notes and you feel good, leave this video, fast forward to the next problem. You don't need to be watching things you already know how to do. So I'm going to graph both these objects. To keep track of what's what, I'm just going to label my x and y axis. If I don't do that, I'm going to get lost. So here is my directrix. My focus is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So there's my directrix. Oh, excuse me, focus. Focus is the point, directrix is the line. Now, the parabola will always surround the focus. We're always going to surround the focus. So this one has to open up. It's got to go away from the directrix. Just something worth memorizing. And the vertex has to be equidistant from the focus and directrix. That's by its very definition. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4 apart. So the vertex has to be 4 away, or 2 away from the focus, half that distance. So there's my vertex, and I know my parabola has to surround the focus. That's what makes those points equidistant. So once I realize that my vertex is at 4, -1, I can start to use vertex form. This is the H, this is the K. The tricky thing you have to remember is that vertex form with a twist, that 1/4p. And now what the heck is P? P is the distance from the focus to the vertex, or from the vertex to the directrix. So common mistakes I saw were saying P value is 4 or neglecting this 1/4p altogether. Turns out P is equal to 2. That's that distance. So our final answer, y equals 1/4 times 2, which is 8, x minus, vertex got to go to the right number, 4, quantity squared, minus 1. Done. All right, that brings us to our last question, number 13. Number 13 was a question, it's almost exactly the same question that was on our test on our exponents unit. And sometimes things just go into short-term memory. So understanding that we're going to use exponent rules here is the most important thing we have to realize. So don't go into radical form. You can get there. The easiest thing is to take your radical into exponent form. Index, power. Index, power. Multiply your exponents here. Then, once you get here, we have that same base, so we can subtract the exponents. When we subtract the exponents, we get x to the, subtract the numerators, 4/3, and that's equal to xy, which means y has to be 4/3. I think sometimes people get a little distracted by the x to the y power. This SAT seems to like this a lot as well. It's really just a matter of simplifying the one side, and then Y just pops right off the page. So I hope this helps. And again, when you're interacting with a video like this is 10 minutes of things you might already know. Make sure you use your time wisely. You do not need to watch me solve problems that you've already done correctly. So, hope this helps. We do have another Regents Review assignment. Make sure you look at the Google Classroom assignment. Do not be afraid to not know how to do a couple of these. You're welcome to reach out to me via Google Classroom or email. And let's see how this goes. Expect next week, once I feel like more people are comfortable with the way that all the systems are going to be working, then we'll start slowly progressing through our Intro to Trig unit. As far as assessments and things like that go, I'm not worried about that. We have plenty of grades right now. I will be keeping track of if you are doing your assignments, but really those assignments are an effort grade. They're not being graded based on accuracy. So again, don't stress out about grades. Right now we are trying to build skills and keep you interacting with mathematics. If unfortunately this does go beyond 3 weeks, then we'll reevaluate what we need to do about things. So good luck with your mathematics. Again, email me if you find you're struggling with workload or anything like that. Just let me know. Have a great day.